What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Spin Fuel's Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and it's vlog time once again. I'm really sorry I haven't been able to get one of these vlogs out to you guys. I've been super busy lately. My shop, Voltage Vape, is opening up a new location in Enfield, so I've been extremely busy getting that ready for the opening day, which is going to be tomorrow. And other than that, I've been sick. Past weekend I've been sick. You can kind of still hear it in my voice now. Haven't been feeling the best, but I'm going to push on. I'm going to try to get through this for you guys, get a list of topics I have right in front of me done. Basically, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, a little bit special today. You might be able to see it, this little thing right over here, the baby blue box. A Craft Vapery unboxing, live right for you guys today. We'll get into that in just a minute. Other than that, we have my ECC final thoughts. You guys have seen all the video. You've seen what I was up to during that whole time, but really haven't said too much about it on my blog or anything like that. So I want to get those topics done. I want to, let you guys know what I thought of the convention itself and all that stuff. So I'll get to that after the unboxing. I've also got a little bit of a state of the industry. It's, almost election season here, so I figured why not do something, a little bit different, preach a little bit to you guys on some of my thoughts of what's going on right now in the industry itself. And of course, we have a list of shout outs to get to as well. People I want to thank, businesses and that kind of thing. And of course, I have a little glass of liquid courage here. So let's talk right about that real quick. I got some Green Flash West Coast IPA. This stuff is delicious. If you're a big IPA fan like I am, it's a really good, summery kind of beverage. I prefer IPAs in the summer, and in the winter I drink stouts and porters. I'm kind of weird like that, I know, but New England winter is pretty harsh, and I like the thick dark beer to get me through, I guess. And in the summer, I like IPAs and Belgians and light beer like that, stuff that's summery, citrusy, stuff like that. And this definitely is one of my new favorites, actually. It was recommended to me by the guy at the liquor store, and he said this and another one was really good. So I went with that. If you watch my live show on Fridays, you know that I had a few of those during that time. So this stuff is really good, though. It's kind of light, but it still has a full, bold flavor. It's got a nice amber color to it as well, and it's really hoppy. I like stuff that has a ton of hops in it. Really bitter, as high of an IBU as you can handle. That's what I'm kind of into. So I've got a couple of those on deck for tonight. So without further ado, why don't we get to the unboxing portion? So this actually came to me relatively quickly. I'm sure you guys watched the Craft Vapery unboxing I did a few weeks ago, and I do want to give a huge shout out to Craft Vapery for getting these things out to me so quickly. So as you can see on here, the seal is still intact. No longer. And the reveal. So there you go. Hopefully you guys can see that. And I know I don't have the little up close portion for this week, or for this month, but we shall push through it. So I like that. I really, really, really like that. These guys take the personal touch to the next level, and I really can respect that, because I just like to see that kind of thing with these subscription services, because most of the time they're so far, distanced from everyone else that you don't really see the people that are boxing this stuff up. But if you pay attention to Craft Vapery's Instagram page, you can actually see the guys behind, what's going on with this service, which is really cool. I think that's an awesome thing. So here you go. You have a little refer a friend card. So there you go. You can get referrals. That's something relatively new. And this one says, hey Nick, we hope this box is as awesome as you are. Oh, that's so sweet. And it says enjoy, and I think it's Katie. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Forgive me if I'm not. But, you know, this type of personalized note, it's not printed, it's not anything. You can tell it's handwritten by an actual person. I just love that personal touch, and I feel like you lose a lot of that with some of the other subscription services. And a couple stickers, you know, Craft Vapery, stepping it up, putting some stickers in. And I think that one it has to do with, maybe has to do with, I don't know, something they got going on. But anyways, and of course we have our flavor cards, which we're going to take a look at in just a minute. So we'll just toss that aside for now. And as always, the best of the box. They want you to rate your favorite liquids on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. And you know what? I've been slacking because I haven't really done that. But if you guys want to see that, leave a comment in the box below. If you want to see what I like out of the Craft Vapery boxes. I know I really don't, you know, I don't review a lot of the liquids that come in. So if you want to see me review something that comes in with these Craft Vapery boxes, just let me know. I'll see if I can get to it. And of course, Craft Vapery candies. Last month it was Skittles. I'm hoping it's the same. And without further ado, let's see what we got. Oh, all right. Quite a bit this month. All right. So, first up, I'm just going to grab a random one here. Hold Fast Vapors, and the flavor is Jaws. I saw Hold Fast at ECC. Didn't get a chance to go up to their booth, so well, I think that'll be pretty cool to get into some of their liquid. This one is Dripped Life. Flavor is Last Stand. And, you know, you kind of get a behind-the-scenes look, too, when I do it like this, because you don't normally see this view. You usually see the up-close portion when I'm just digging in the box here. But now you get to see what I look like when I'm unboxing a Craft Vapery box. Next flavor we have is Juice Parlor, and the flavor is Soda Jerk. And I know the focus is not on the bottle. And I do apologize, I do record these things with a webcam. And next up we got some Mega Melons by Cutwood, formerly known as Monster Melons. I really like that flavor, I know that already. I can tell you that right now. Oh, sweet. All right, so we got a little bonus bottle of the Sticky Rice. Very cool, because I haven't been able to dip into the Sticky Rice that they gave me at ECC because I was worried I was going to vape it all. And that one is actually, Grim Green told me about it. We were talking when we sat down and had a beer, and he told me that this was one of their best ones. So let's just get into them real quick, do a quick little smell test. Alright, so Sticky Rice, I already know what the flavor profile is kind of supposed to be. So this one, yeah, is the mango and sticky rice. That's pretty much what it is. It's kind of like sweet and sour sauce on top of a white rice, something like that, which is pretty interesting. I like how they're doing something a bit different out of the box. And let's have a vape real quick before we get into the other ones. All right. So first up we have Soda Jerk. So let's just find that one real quick. And, you know, forgive me because I'm not going to edit this stuff out. I'm just doing it live. So let's read the card real quick. Manufacturer's Juice Parlor, PG-VG ratio, 30% PG, 70% VG. Primary flavor profile is drinks and cocktails. Secondaries, creams, custards, and vanillas. Flavor description is root beer float flavor, straight out of the 1950s cafe. This vanilla, ice cream, and cola blend is one you won't want to share. All right, fair enough. Let's give it a smell real quick. Wow. You know, I've smelled quite a few root beer flavors in my time, and this one definitely seems to be the most accurate to the root beer with vanilla ice cream. Like, spot on, you know. So yeah, this one's kind of interesting. The only thing that kind of worries me is the kind of translucent color to it. This doesn't do it justice, but it is kind of like, you can see how you can't see the dripper quite clearly. That worries me a little bit, but not to the point when, you know, I'm going to be actually worried about it at all. So, actually, you know what? We don't have flavor cards for all of them this time. Unless I'm missing some. I don't know. So next up we have Jaws by Holdfast. And the PG-VG ratio is 40% PG, 60% VG. And the flavor profile is candy. Flavor description reads, the classic Jawbreaker candy vape is a sugary treat that is dangerously good. Okay, so let's get into that one. All right. That's an interesting flavor or scent to it. I've tried something similar before. Can't really put my finger on it, but it definitely, that flavor smells very, very familiar. I don't know. I'm not the biggest candy kind of vapor, but that one sounds kind of interesting. I'll have to get back to you on that one. So I know this one, we didn't get a flavor profile card for the Mega Melons, but I know this one off the top of my head. It's basically, I believe it's cantaloupe and honeydew. There's something else in there. I forget one of the flavor profiles in there, but there's something else in there, but it makes it really sugary sweet. Yep, and that's that sugary sweet kind of melon flavor that I've grown to love. I don't have a flavor card for this one either, the Dripped Life Last Stand, so I'm just going to wing it. It smells kind of like vanilla custard, an interesting vanilla custard. A little more complex than your average, at least smell-wise, but smells pretty interesting. I think I'll like it. They always, Craft Vapery always nails my flavor profile. I give them so much credit for that too, because a lot of the other subscription services, I've gotten 2 or 3 bottles out of the 5 that are just junk, and I can't even vape them. They either have menthol in them or something like that, and I'm just not happy with it. Trust me, I've tried a lot of them, and that's the case with quite a few, but so far, Craft Vapery is one of my new favorites. They've been really great to me, and I really appreciate all they've done. But more about that later. Let's move on with the show, so to speak. What I'm vaping. So right now, I have 3 different setups that I'm mainly using. Brand new Kennedy 22mm atomizer with a half moon tip on the continuous current Manhattan V2. This is kind of like... this is definitely a cloud chucker, but it's not my, you know, hardest hitting mod. Right now I've got a brand new build in it, which is 6-wrap dual parallel 24 gauge. And if you pay attention to my Instagram page, you can see that in slightly more detail. But this thing is definitely awesome. It hits hard. And on top of there, I've got some of the new Savage High VG Zephyr flavor, which is a cereal berry crunch. So just rearrange those words and you'll find out what the cereal that it's supposed to taste like. So let's have a vape. Oh yeah, that thing hits hard, especially for 24 gauge wire. I haven't used 24 in quite a while because I've been kind of dipping into the cloud chasing realm. But this stuff, the Mad Rabbit, really, you don't have to use the lower gauge wire, the super, you know, low resistance 22, the 20 gauge, the 18 gauge. You don't have to use that to get big clouds, honestly. With 6 wraps in a dual parallel, this thing chucks. So Lots of credit to Mad Rabbit for getting that formula right on their wire for lots of heat, lots of low resistance, and also surface area. Surface area is key when it comes to vaping. My next setup is the Tugboat V2 with the 24mm Kennedy on top. You saw that in my review. And also I have an upcoming review of the 22mm as well. Make sure you pay attention for that, coming up soon. With the half moon tip on top. I love these things. Can't say enough about how much I love them. And inside is a little cold fusion. Shock and awe. And this is one of my first juice reviews I ever did. Way back in the day after VCC, I met these guys, John, Chip, and Jeff. Super nice guys. They were more than willing to let me try out all of their flavors, and I had a blast at VCC New England, and they were part of the reason. Really super nice guys. Can't say enough about how much I really respect what they're doing. And if you haven't tried Cold Fusion, make sure you go check them out. Leave a comment, leave a like, whatever. Drop them some love too. Make sure you go check out their Facebook page, Instagram, all that stuff. I'll have everyone's information from all this stuff I'm talking about in the description below. So yeah, let's have a rip of this one. First of all, let's check if it's dry. No, we're good. And I gotta say, for a 70-30 blend, high VG obviously, this stuff is amazing. Tastes amazing, and you get plenty of vapor production. No complaints in that department whatsoever. Definitely give Cold Fusion a try if you haven't already. And finally, my last setup is the Monster V3 with the ECC drip tip. I've got a vertical coil on the IPv3Li. And like I said, if you want me to review something, just drop a comment, let me know. I've got all this stuff, and I just really don't know what to review. A lot of this stuff I procured myself. It doesn't really get sent to me, so let me know if you want to see it in closer detail. Just leave a comment. So this one I have mother's milk of all things. Yes, I know, mother's milk. Running low. But I've got a vertical coil at 0.45 ohms, 4.2 volts at 40 watts right now. And for Suicide Bunny, this stuff actually tastes amazing and it vapes amazing. Plenty of vapor production. So I might actually do a coil build tutorial for the Monster atomizers. It definitely takes a little bit of finesse, but if you can get a vertical coil running in this thing, it's absolutely amazing. Highly, 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 highly recommend doing a vertical coil in the Monster atomizers, just because you get that wide open airflow. I mean, you can see right through that airflow section right there. It definitely opens it up a little bit more, and you get amazing flavor and vapor production. And I use 22 gauge wire, which is kind of different. So again, I might get into that a little bit later in a future video. But yeah, so that's what I'm rocking right now for setups. Let's continue and get on with the ECC final thoughts. So I went to ECC in California. It was a blast. I met some amazing people there. Saw some old friends from past conventions. What can I say? I had a ton of fun. I did everything that I wanted to do and more. The first night we were there, we went out to the Flawless Vape Shop in Rancho Cucamonga, and I met some amazing people there. They have such a friendly staff, and their customers are really nice to, the outsiders, the people that are from the Northeast, that aren't as into vaping as California. But I gotta say, they were super nice people. I'm so happy to have met them. I gave him a huge shout out in one of my previous Instagram photos, if you follow me on Instagram. But yeah, I had a blast that night, and then the second night we went out to Hooters with a bunch of the guys from Triton and Beantown Vapor, Cold Fusion, a bunch of different juice companies were out there. Had a blast that night. And, I just absorbed the local culture. I tried to do everything that was like on my list. And I was just fortunate enough to be able to do a lot of really awesome things with a lot of really awesome people. But about the convention itself, I think it was a little bit unorganized. In the beginning, there was some confusion and frustration with the people that were running it. The advocacy booths were all the way in the far back corner of the main building, the first building that Space Jam was in. And that kind of frustrated me a little bit. It didn't seem to bother them. I actually got an interview with Stefan Diedick, and he was nothing but positive. So, I give them a lot of credit for sticking it through, and I guess they had a lot of support there, which is really great. It's really great to see people in California making strides to, help their industry. And it's really important for the rest of the country as well, because if something happens in California, it's definitely going to have a trickle effect that goes across the country. So yeah, they kind of stuck them in the corner, and then they also had booths against the stage, which I know the MCs were a little bit confused as how they were going to present giveaways and stuff like that. So they ended up moving those booths, and they ended up, were able to do giveaways on the stage, which is really nice. So that kind of got worked out over the course of the 4 days. Which is definitely good for the guys that were presenting the whole thing. I remember there was a few little hiccups as far as the giveaways, like throwing glass bottles from a 2-story booth, throwing them all the way down onto the concrete floor. People were getting hit with them. People were dropping them. They were smashing all over the floor. They were even throwing 120 ml bottles, 30 ml bottles, just chucking all that stuff right out onto the concrete floor, which is definitely dangerous. There was glass on the floor. People were slipping. People were falling. Luckily, no one got seriously hurt, which is a good thing, but it was a mess. It was a lot of cleanup. They had to rush over the staff. It was kind of a scary moment there for about 15 minutes. It was huge. ECC was huge. It was 5 giant buildings, all full of vendors, packed full, and then more on the outside. It was literally 5 small conventions in one. If you hit one building, that was pretty much a day's worth right there if you were to stop at every single booth. There was not nearly enough time to stop at every single booth. That's how big this thing was. It just shows a little bit. It's a good thing and a bad thing, because it shows how many vendors there are now, how big this industry is, and we're still growing, obviously. That was just a handful of juice vendors from mostly California and a few from across the country. But, it's impossible for the consumer to actually go and see these booths, and I feel like a lot of people kind of gravitated more towards the bigger booths, and that kind of left a lot of people out. There was like booths that were, a tenth of the size of these giant booths that just kind of people overlooked it and ignored. And it's too bad, because some of these booths are really cool stuff. The advocacy booths, for once, like it's pretty bad when something that can save your industry gets overlooked for a free t-shirt or a hat or something. It was hot. It was extremely hot. It was over 100 degrees all 4 days, and they had booths outside. And that definitely caused some frustration. There was a lot of booths that didn't show up that were forced to be outside. I'm not sure how they picked who got to be outside, but I know that it probably was not very fair, and that's unfortunate for those people that paid a lot of money to be at this convention. You had a few people that showed up the first day and not the second day of B2B, and they didn't show up during any of the open to the public section, which is really sad, because some of those booths were kind of important people, I would say. I know Continuous Current was outside, and they kind of got forced. They were lucky enough to piggyback on another booth, and I know Vapor City Sauce got a spot next to Cold Fusion, which is kind of good, but other people just never showed up, which is kind of sad. I know that Council of Vapor stuck it out outside, and I really feel bad for them, because I know they didn't get a ton of foot traffic. They had some really cool stuff out there, though, and if you didn't get to see what they had, that's too bad, because they had some really cool new products that they were just releasing for ECC. Let's see, what else do I have here? Other than that, it was great. It was a beautiful showcase of the industry in itself. New hardware, new wire, new juice. The glass booth was incredible. It had this whole big tent thing, and you go inside, it's real dark in there, and it was very it had that mood lighting thing going on, and all the mods were top lit and everything. It just looked so cool, and they must have paid a small fortune for that booth. There's other booths, like the 3D booth was amazing. They had couches and battery chargers, which was really convenient because, at a convention you vape a ton and all of a sudden your batteries are dead. So they had couches that you could hang out at. A lot of people had DJs and music that was blasting, as you probably saw in my videos. I had to kind of cover it up and turn down the volume to avoid copyright strikes on my YouTube channel for that reason. So, it was a bit of a cluster bleep, if you know what I'm saying. But other than that, I had a great time, and I really can't wait. And I will be attending future ECC events. I'm not going to, write them off just because it was too hot or whatever. In the future, I think moving on, I think they should do it a little bit later in the year, possibly at maybe a smaller venue or something, or even a bigger venue that you could fit everything in one building or something like that. I'm sure there's ways around the confusion and the whole debacle that happened at ECC. But otherwise, like I said, just an amazing time. I definitely had a lot of fun. Moving on, the state of the industry. So this is kind of the important section where I get to preach a little bit, and I just want to basically touch on a few topics that have been bugging me lately. Marketing. One thing that I always see pop up is a new juice line with one or two flavors that would be easily construed as being marketed to children. And I know this is a big thing right now with people, or with companies like Snap and Gush and Rolly and Steep Pop D's and stuff like that all over this industry. And people are complaining, and people say, well, why shouldn't we have flavors? And then other people are saying, well, we should avoid these companies and outlaw these companies, whatever. This industry is basically pretty good at self-regulating, but I think we're almost on a witch hunt right now. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. You can go on and on about labels and colors and flavors and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's marketing. That's what's really getting this industry going right now, is the marketing factor. Because if you're all over Instagram and stuff like that with cartoon characters and labels that look extremely similar to whatever it's supposed to taste like, you're going to get in trouble. There's going to be someone with a problem with that. And this industry really needs to look as sparkly clean as possible right now, and that's the last thing we need when you have companies like Steep Pop D's with a prize in every box and things like that. It's just too close for comfort, for my liking at least. You don't need a fancy label and a fancy box or pouch or whatever you're putting your e-liquid in to sell your juice. Your juice itself should sell itself. The flavors should sell itself. And it's unfortunate that people feel the need to stoop down to the levels that they are in order to sell their liquid. Back in the day, I'm saying 3.5 years ago, when I first started vaping, you didn't have fancy bottles. You didn't have multi-million-dollar companies running the show and leading the way in this industry. You had mom-and-pop little juice companies, people mixing in their house and selling it online. You really didn't know where your e-liquid was coming from. You didn't know how much diacetyl or acetylpropanol was in it, and you didn't care because you were vaping and you knew that it was safer and more healthy for you than smoking cigarettes. Nowadays, if anything has a little touch of diacetyl in it, it's a witch hunt, and that can be a problem. in a way I agree, in a way I disagree. It's hard for me to really be the judge of what is right and what's wrong in this industry, but I mean, I know that I wouldn't buy, some of these companies' e-liquid because of their marketing strategies that I don't agree with. But that's kind of, my own opinion, I suppose, and feel free to fight me in the comments below. As far as other things that are going on in the industry, you have a further separation between the beginner vapors and the cloud chasers. And I hate to use the term because I've kind of become one of the cloud chasers myself. I don't use 100% VG. I don't build extremely low just to get that giant cloud. I mean, yeah, I'll compete in a cloud competition for fun or whatever, but, it's not really my thing to go out there and try to be better than anyone else and have a pissing contest with all the other vapors in my area about who can blow the biggest cloud. We're kind of leaving behind the beginners. And I say that and I'm worried because I really don't want that to happen. I want people to quit smoking and start vaping. And if it's a means to an end, if you end up not vaping anymore, fine by me. If it's something that you do for a year and then it's so slowly just, you don't do it anymore and you don't go back to smoking, that's great. Whatever gets you off cigarettes. And, it just kind of like the thing where you have to pay attention to the introductory market. You have to cater to those type of people. Like if you open a shop and all you carry is drippers and mech mods, then you're really forgetting a whole part of this industry and you're forgetting the roots of this industry where there is the newbie vapor. You need to really, gently go about things and introduce them to the world of vaping in order for them to enjoy it and quit smoking. Because I know for a fact that I almost quit vaping after 3 months of doing it because I couldn't get my equipment to work properly or I wasn't getting enough out of it or something like that. So if you're a shop owner or even if you work at a shop, I mean, I work at a shop and I know that if I give someone the wrong nic level and they don't enjoy it and it burns their throat, they're not going to come back to me. They're not going to come back to vaping. They're going to stop vaping and go right back to smoking because they say, oh, well, that didn't work for me. So we need this industry to really kind of pay attention to the beginner vapor and cater more towards them. And hopefully, if you're out there listening to me right now, then and you work at a shop, make sure you pay attention to the little guy, the newbie vapor, maybe help them along their way, their journey, their path, and try to get them to quit smoking. Because I try to be a support system as well. If someone's having an issue, I do everything in my power to solve that issue for them. Just so that not for the business aspect, but for them. I want them to quit smoking. I don't care if they spend another dime in my shop. If they quit smoking, my job is done. So, I mean, that's my little rant. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully you guys, somewhat agree with me. And like I said, if you have anything to say, just leave it in the comments. Can't say enough how much I love the shotgun all though. But, I've never been a big cereal guy, and the Zephyr is amazing, just saying. Definitely rivals some of the bigger names right now as far as flavor-wise. For crunch berries kind of flavor, this thing is really amazing. Anyways, moving on. Some shout-outs. I'll do some shout-outs real quick, and then that's it for this one. I want to give a huge shout-out to Half Moon. I rock Half Moon tips on almost all of my mods. I've got so many just laying around here. I use them on everything. My tanks, my drippers. Like, these tips are amazing. These are all the Kennedy wide bore for the Dragon cap. And these are great because it gives me an option besides the stock drip tip that comes with the metal drip tip. It gives me a little bit more comfort when it comes to vaping because metal tips, I'm not a huge fan of them. They get hot. They tend to, collect more lip crud, I feel like. So I like these tips a lot better. And they also make some pretty sweet standard 510 size drip tips. I got just 2 random ones right here. These are all hand turned. J.R. Murphy, great guy. Big shout out to him. Love Half Moon tips. Make sure you check them out. Make sure you go to the links in the description below and buy a couple for yourself, because those tips are absolutely amazing. They fit great in everything that I have. The Arctic tank was especially one of the biggest defender for the tip getting hot. That definitely solved my issue there. Plus, they're just the right size too. They're not too wide. They're not too tall. They're not too, the bore is just right on them. It's a nice wide bore. So definitely go pick some of those tips up. And they're all different, which is why I like them. They remind me a lot of the old school kind of swirl drip tips, similar to, the regular little acrylic like those. They remind me of those, which is kind of a nostalgia factor for me. That's what I first picked up. I bought probably 20 of those things when I first started vaping. And, when I first found out that I wasn't a huge fan of the standard metal drip tips. So kind of gives me a little bit of feeling of nostalgia when I'm vaping on them. And I really think they're comfortable. Just, I can't say enough about how much I love them. And his other products are great too. He's got a coil jig, which I'll be reviewing soon. He also has mods that he came out with, which are amazingly seamless. Make sure you check those out as well. Moving on, I want to give a huge shout out to Adam Webster, aka the Vaping Nerd on Instagram. I've mentioned his name a few times in my Kennedy videos. He's actually the one that hooked me up with the new Kennedy 22 as well as the Monster V3. So I want to just give a massive shout out to him as well. He invited me over his house. We sat down, we talked. He gave me some mods or some addies, and we went out to dinner, drinks. It was great. So big shout out to Adam Webster. Thanks for being there for me, buddy. Craft Vapery. I love them. They give me the boxes every month, which I get to show off to you guys, which is great. Normally, I don't really vape the whole bottles when I get these in. Sometimes I'll try them. Sometimes if I have a friend in need, I'll give them away to them. So it's kind of giving me an outlet to give away some product that, I get from them to help out fellow vapors, as well as it gives me a chance to spread the word about Craft Vapery and what they're doing in this industry. And they are very, 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 very personable. As you saw earlier, they give you handwritten notes when other companies just give you little printed things, which are boring. I love the flavor cards that they send along too. Those are very helpful and handy. Of course, the Craft Vapery candy, which I always munch on right after I record the videos as I'm editing them. And I think the juice is good too. I mean, like I said, you get sometimes with the other services, you get 5 bottles of juice or 4 bottles of juice, and half of it's just junk that you can't even vape, and you get 2 bottles of juice that you pay $20-$30 for. So moderately priced with top quality. So there you go. I do want to give a shout out to Mimi at Vapor City Sauce for hooking me up with a sample pack of her full line, which I'll be showing off to you guys shortly in a review. I want to just especially touch on the fact that she gives $1, or I should say they give $1, because it's not just Mimi. They give $1 from every bottle purchased to advocacy. So they give to Safada, AIMSA, whatever, any sort of advocacy group that you choose. So if you're a shop owner placing an order and you're a part of Safada or Smoke Free Association or Vista Truth or Vaping Militia or whatever, any of those groups, they will give $1 for each bottle that you buy to the charity of your choice. So that's pretty cool. And I really like that. And the flavors are good too. I've tried them. The Bandwagon so far has been my favorite. It's a strawberry yogurt, and it's very clean flavor. The juice is very, very tasty. So a big shout out to Mimi and Vapor City Sauce. Finally, on the agenda tonight, big shout out to Savage High VG. They just sent me their products. They actually sent me a full-on kit. I already reviewed them, and they still sent me their full kit of all their flavors. A couple new ones, and the new cereal line that they have, which is one that I've already showed you, obviously, the Zephyr. They have the Express and the Rocket. One of them's the Express is, what is it, peanut butter? What is it? No, fruity cereal. Oh, that's a Fruity Pebbles flavor. And the Zephyr is, or no, the Rocket is a Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which again rivals a flavor of a similar type by a big name. So right there, I'm going to say that this might turn me into a big cereal fan. But let's see, one more real quick. I do have to give a shout out to Two Puffs. Two Puffs makes the ECC drip tips. I picked up a couple at ECC, and one of them was slightly dinged. They have these like clear acrylic top pieces, and I took a picture for Instagram. You can't really see it here, but that definitely has a ding in it. They sent me a whole top piece for free, and it was less than a week after ECC. So I do want to give a shout out to Two Puffs for that as well. So thank you guys so much for being so cool about the situation. All I had to do was send them a message on their Facebook page, and they got right back to me almost instantaneously and just asked me my address and sent it right out. No questions asked. That's it. Just sent it right out to me. So big shout out to Two Puffs as well. And that about wraps everything up. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure you hit that like button right down there somewhere, as well as subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Check out www.spinfuel.com for lots more of my videos, as well as Smoke and Joey and Spin Fuel videos. And as always, vape on.